is a woman in her 20s or 30s who is passionate about politics but has often felt disenfranchised by the process, by the political process. And like there wasn't space for her voice to be heard. And I wondered what issues you would tell young women to focus on today and how you would convince them that their voice, their vote, can actually make a difference in a climate that can seem so cold.
It can seem cold, it can seem hostile, it can seem mean, all of that. I'm not sure it's ever been any different, but now it's played out on, the global stage, and literally second by second, we can follow what is or isn't happening. I would say a couple of things. First, a lot of young women I know already have passions, but they don't necessarily relate them to politics. So they may be passionate, for example, about young kids learning. If they aren't teachers, maybe they're tutoring in an after-school program. They really care about that. But they often don't make the connection that political decisions will impact many more kids than those kids they can personally reach. Or somebody's passionate about the environment and passionate about climate change, but they think politics is just hopeless and useless. But if we don't get not just national plans enacted, international as well, we're not going to make the progress we need to make. So whenever I'm talking to young women about politics, I always say, look, you don't have to run for office. You don't even have to be actively involved, but you do have to exercise your brain in deciding what you believe and who you will support. And sometimes it is, choices between people that none of whom excite you, but study it enough to figure out, okay, if I vote for this person over that person, I'm more likely to see progress on something I care about. I think politics is also a great learning experience. I often urge young women to volunteer in a campaign. Just, go door to door, meet your neighbors and say, hey, I'm here, canvassing for this cause or this candidate. You will learn about yourself and you'll learn about other people. And I think that's always to your benefit, because every bit of that learning adds up so that you can make better decisions for yourself. And finally, I think the millennial generation is so public service oriented. I see it everywhere. I meet young people who are doing incredible nonprofit projects, charitable, faith-based, all kinds of great work. But I always ask them, are you going to do that work for the rest of your life? Are you going to work in that, that food pantry every day for the rest of your life, feeding poor people? Are you going to tutor that same child every day for the rest of your life? And they look at me kind of oddly. I say, because you're helping one person, but there are many more people like that person who need help. That's why we need political leadership and decisions that actually lift everybody up. And if we can think about it that way, so you don't get turned off by the negativity and the nastiness that is unfortunately too much in our politics today, but you kind of can cut through that and say, look, I not only have a right, I have an obligation to make a choice. It's part of the, the service I pay for living in our country. So I'm going to vote for X or Y, not because I think that person is perfect, but it's going to be better than the alternative. And if you can't get excited, be pragmatic and do it anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing advice, and we also love hearing you say that about millennials, because we're so often accused of being heinously self-involved that it's nice to know Madam Secretary doesn't feel that way.
I do not.